Hey, what's happening? I'm gonna give it a few minutes here. That way I can kind of send it out. What's going on? I've been exploring this cool tool. It's new to me. I guess it's kind of been around since like 2014. It's probably been around a lot longer than that though. But it's this little rope right here. It's called rope flow. I've been playing around with. It's pretty cool. David Weck is the inventor of this. From I think it was the Weck method. But pretty cool stuff here. A lot of similar movements from Kali and like a lot of spine movements. I'll show you real quick, little something. I'm pretty new at this, but it's pretty cool here, right? You just get a little like marine style grade rope here, and you can do all these like really cool movements. And basically it's just mimics like the movements of the spine. And you'll see, the weight shift, and it's very much like training in Kali here, right? So it's really kind of a cool thing, but something I've been playing around with lately. So, and I've been doing it just for a few weeks now, but I'm kind of already seeing how my spine and stuff is starting to move a lot more. So pretty cool. So I want to jump on here and just kind of do this live because it's just easier to do this live. And I wanted to just kind of briefly talk about what to expect for those that are coming out or thinking about coming out to my 3-day seminar on the West Coast over at Long Beach, Washington, September 26th, the 27th, and the 28th. Hey, what's happening? Okay. And one of the things is I think, some people might be on the fence about attending some of my seminars because they hear these stories, these crazy stories about our ITCs. And ITC, that's my 5-day immersion training camp that I hold sometimes. Usually I do it like once a year, but sometimes I don't. They kind of pop up right now, when I can do them. We just did the most recent one earlier this year in the summer. And, sometimes you hear some crazy stories, and a lot of people think that all of the Kali Center seminars must be like that. And I think that kind of intimidates some people to come on out and train and, train with me. Because, ITC is a different type of experience. What ITC is basically people that want to come out and experience closer to like how I train, right? So ITC is really a time where I get to get in and I'm training with really my advanced people or really pushing people that want to be pushing skills, and all levels come to that. But when it comes to, ITC is, I host that. But when it comes to other seminars, other camps, like this one in Long Beach, Washington, that my good friend and student Keenan is hosting, that's not an ITC. Okay. That's the goal for that is not for my training. The goal for that is for me to teach you and to coach you and to, take it slow, take it to whatever your pace is, because I want you to leave every single day that you attend the seminar that you're training. I want you to leave with something useful, right? A new skill, something you've learned, a new piece of knowledge, a new piece of understanding, a new piece of performance, a higher level of performance. So these seminars are geared towards, more beginners. They're a slower pace. Same thing as like when people come out and train with me one-on-one, it is geared towards that individual. And when I do seminars, and sometimes as John does seminars, or Tom or Ollie, we gear those seminars based on who's there. So we want to make sure that you're getting the biggest bang for your buck. You're getting real value out of it. You're going to have a great experience. You're going to really learn stuff, and you're going to be able to functionalize stuff and not just gain knowledge. We want you to really understand what it is that we're teaching and what you're learning. So that's how the seminars work. That's how the teaching works. It's a teaching, a learning, and a coaching where you get to work out with other people attending, and I go jump in there and I work out with you. And I do try to make it a point at all of my seminars, all my training camps, that I get in and work with everybody. you know and that's all we do. We work to your pace, your level. We want you to be successful. So if you kind of been on the fence about coming out to the Washington seminar, September 26th through the 28th, I think you should really go for it. If you can work it in your schedule and all that, I think you should really give it a try. I think you should, experience, how our way of teaching and coaching, it's quite different. It's quite unique. You know, we really want to make sure that you are connecting with the system, right? That you're connecting with the material and the training and the development of the skill. So this is not going to be some kind of, like typical FMA seminar where I teach a million different things and I give you 5 minutes to work on something and move on to the next thing. Okay. These are like little mini training camps where we have focused training. Every day there's focused training, and you're going to learn and be able to perform real skills. And the main focus is success, right? We'll make sure that you are successful. Okay, so a couple things to bring if you are coming. If you're not attending this one, I don't know when the next time I'm going to be back on the West Coast. So I know a lot of people. I get a lot of comments and emails and from people on the West Coast. Hey man, are you ever going to come do a seminar out here? Well, I am right now, at the end of September. I'll be in Long Beach, Washington. So this is the opportunity to come train. But, have a pair of sticks, pair of collie sticks. I would prefer that you have at least 2 pairs of collie sticks with you. That way we can make sure that you have enough sticks. That way you can map out the footwork when we do the footwork. Because one thing about Collie Center is that, we're going to teach you not just how to swing your sticks and not just how to make triangles with your feet. We're going to teach you how to actually put them together in a strategical and tactical manner and how to actually apply it. Okay. So try to have at least 2 pairs of Collie sticks if you can. Another thing we'll probably do is make sure that you have a training knife. Actually, my training knives are over here. Well, at least one of them is. I don't know where my other one is. Must be inside. I'm always moving my gear around because I train all over the place. But if you have like a, whatever training knife, this is fine. Okay. Any kind of training knife is fine for when we're doing like the solo training, the forms and the weapon handling stuff. I'm going to go over striking mechanics. I'm going to go over striking mechanics. I'm going to go over, how to handle your weapons so that way you're handling them properly and safely. I'm going to go over proper alignment with your footwork. I'm going to go over the whole, the anatomy of the body, how the body works through the process of footwork and the process of striking mechanics and the process of calibrating it all together. We're going to go through all that stuff. I don't go through that stuff in depth here on YouTube because it's just a lot easier to do that stuff in person. But if you do have a flexi rubber training knife, this is ideally what we like to use. And then if you have any kind of like eye protection, so, safety glasses, sports glasses, something like that. And then hockey gloves, some hockey gloves, those are the best. Some people try to use like lacrosse gloves. I don't recommend lacrosse gloves. They're okay for the knife stuff, but when you're using stick stuff, they just don't provide enough protection. Not that we're going to be swinging hard and trying to, hurt each other or anything like that, but we want to make sure that we are training safely, that we have protection, because a lot of us, have things that we got to do after training. So we don't need to have our hands and all that all completely bashed up and everything. But that's about the gear that you'll need to have. At least 2 pairs of collie sticks, a training knife, some sort of eye protection, especially when we're on the knife. So again, whether that's some kind of safety glasses, sports glasses, racquetball glasses, sunglasses. Don't wear like an expensive pair of sunglasses though. Just in case. I've made that mistake in the past. I had like $150 pair of sunglasses broken in training, not because they got hit, because I had to set them down for a second and they got stepped on. So don't do that. Optional gear is, if you have it, you could bring a training bolo as well. I mean, you could bring a real bolo with you. I don't care, but you could bring a training bolo with you as well. So as we're going through the striking mechanics and, some of the coordination work, solo training, then you could have the, a training bolo with you, so you can really understand the cutting size, where the blade edge is at, and understand the top edge and all that stuff. So sometimes this just helps. And then when you transfer the skills over to the stick, right, it's just like, okay, I got that feel. I understand it a little bit better, a little more clearly. And that's really all the gear that you need. So you don't really need much more than that. Training will begin Friday, September 26th at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. sharp. So I highly recommend getting to the area. What is your recommended face eye protection aside from safety goggles? Skill. Learn. Build skill. That is your ultimate protection. Yeah. But no, we don't wear that. We must always know where our feet are. The sunglasses. Yes. So I highly recommend, since we're going to be starting at 8 o'clock in the morning sharp, to get there at least around like 7:30 to the training grounds where we'll be training. That way you can stretch out, get warmed up. We'll go through a warm-up as well on day one. I always like to kind of just go through and show people how I typically warm up. But if you have any kind of trouble areas in your body that you need to kind of, give a little extra attention to, it's good to show up a little early. So that way, not only you can warm up, and then you get to meet everybody and, that's there. And then, we can kind of get things rocking and rolling on time. Collie lesson number 1, timing. Okay. Got to be on time. How long will the training session go? Till sunset, for example? I don't know. That's the only thing about our training. I don't know. It could go to sunset. Especially Friday and Saturday. We'll probably break for lunch. At some point, we'll go and get dinner, because you're gonna have to refuel. I mean, it is work. Like, it's a workout. It's not gonna be this super slow poke around, stand around kind of train. Like, you're gonna be training. You're gonna be working out. Like, that's what it is. It's a training camp. But I don't know. We might go from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. But it'll be something reasonable to where you can still go and refuel yourself and rest up for the next day, because we got 3 days of training. And it's not an ITC. It's not intense like an ITC. We're not going to probably be doing 10 hours. We could, but it's we're still going to be working out. So lot of material for 3 days. Uh, yes and no. I'm not gonna, I don't teach like an insane amount of material. We spend more time training than we do in instruction, right? Like there's just there's key points of instruction, teach the drill and then spend a lot of time doing the drill because the way that I structure the training is it's all done through building block type of process, right? So drill 1 builds to drill 2. Drill 2 builds to drill 3, right? Drill 3 builds to drill 4, and so on and so on and so on. So even though when you're doing drill 5, you're still working in the fundamentals of the previous 4 drills. Okay? So it's just building blocks. And that's one of the reasons why when people come and train with me and with College Center in person, that's one of the reasons why they learn so fast and they gain skill so fast is because every single drill that I teach has meaning. It has purpose to it, right? And it guides you progressively to the next step. And they're easy drills. They're really not difficult because this is martial arts, you know. This is what is martial arts? It's combat expression, right? Like this is martial arts. And it shouldn't be this super complicated thing that should be like humanly impossible or take 20, 30, 40 years for you to train and be effective in. This is stuff that you should be able to do today. And by the end of the day, you should be like, you know what? I got something out of this that I can apply. I could really apply this if I really needed to. At least this one thing or two things. And it should be leading you on a path to understanding and foresight, right? Like, okay, I totally understand. I get it. And I can also see the necessity in this progression and where it's going to take me next, right? Like you should be able to notice that stuff. If you're doing some training and you can't see those things, there's not this like intuitive understanding of it, and there's not this foresight of where it's going to take you next. You're not training one, then you're not training a system, right? Because a system, a system is built off of not concepts, but it's built off of principles. And principles are the underlining fundamental truths that build a system. And a system is nothing more than a process of logic, actual logic. Okay. All of these words by actual definition, not just marketing terms to throw out there to try to get people to buy your shit. Okay. These are intentional words. Okay. It's intentional language that is used. So, like I said, if you're not getting those things um, out of your training, then yeah, I mean, is it really martial arts? Is it really combat expression, or is it just like a theory that dances around martial, right? So, when you're coming to train with us, if you come out to this Washington seminar at the end of September, you're going to learn real skills. You're going to understand. You're going to build. You're going to develop real skills. And because of that, you're going to have a good time. You're going to have a good time. I think by the end of it, you might even be surprised that like, holy shit, dude! Like all right, I learned some really cool stuff, and I was able to flow around with that Paul Ingram guy, you know. So just know that like we're not there to beat anybody up. We're not there to try to prove anything of ourselves. I think John's going to be there, so John will be there to help out. John is one of my top guys. Keenan's trained with me a few times. He's done a couple ITCs. And he knows his stuff. He understands, so he's going to be able to help out. And we got a few people that are signed up too that have experience training with College Center. JC and his wife Georgia, they're coming out. I know they're signed up for it. JC's done a couple ITCs. Georgia, she just did the last ITC. So whatever help you need, there's going to be people there that will be able to help you out, not just me. And another thing about the seminars, these camps when you're training with me in person, is that this is the best time for you to ask questions. Any questions. I don't care what the questions are. Training related and stuff. But questions about what we're doing, questions about your training, they could be skeptical questions. I don't care. You could be the biggest skeptic if you want to, and call me out. I'll go around with you. If that's what you need. I've done that before. With people that needed that, because it is my belief that sometimes respect shouldn't be this thing that is just handed necessarily to somebody, right? Including me, including somebody that you're qualifying to be your teacher. Sometimes I have to earn your respect as well. So all that stuff is welcome. How much is the training cost? So for the 3-day camp, it's $325. So the registration is open. If you go to collegecenter.com and just go to the events page and click on the Washington events page, and you can sign up right there. So, I believe that's a very generous price. It should be more, especially with what you're going to be, the skills that you'll be leaving with. Yeah. So $325 is the price of that for 3 days, and we're going to train for at least 7 or 8 hours, at least. So I mean, it might go more, but it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be a drooling thing. Like it'll go by fast, because you're gonna be you're gonna be immersed in the training. Like we're like I said, I'm gonna teach the drill, and then right away you're doing the drill, and you're gonna spend time with the drill so that you can actually get it. Because you got to get it before we get to the next one. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the thing with all this stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just, for now, it's got to be at least good enough to where it's like, okay, I get it, and I can sustain this for a little bit, and then when we move into the other drill, into the next drill, you're still practicing that, what you just learned out of the first drill. You're just adding it into this. Does that make sense? We're just kind of adding a layer to it. So that's why it's like when people are like, man, it sounds like you're going to be teaching a lot of material. I'm actually not. We're just building. That's all we're doing. So you're actually just repeating at different levels, the whole thing, like all the way, across the board until you're at the flow, until you can flow. And that's the goal of the weekend. The goal for me at the weekend is that everybody is learning to flow. We may not go through the whole, like, all the transitions and all that, but you can get to the flow, and like we can work out together. Like, you'll be surprised that like you and I will be able to train together. I promise you that if you come out to this, by the end of the weekend, you and I will be able to train together. Okay. Even if this is your first time ever training in Kali, and I've been doing this art for, I don't know, 31 since I was 15 years old. So you can do the math on that, right? 26 years, right? And this could be your first time ever training Kali. And by the end of the weekend, you and I will be able to train together. I promise. Okay. All right. I've been on here for a while here. I got a few things I got to do, but do you also train at the gathering? Staff against stick or variable at the gathering? I don't know what that means. Do I train at the gathering? I mean, we do our own stuff. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited that you're going to attend. That would be awesome without question. Curious How many approximately will attend? I think right now we've got like a pretty good handful of signups. I mean, we still got another month to go, so we'll kind of see. And I think a number of Keenan students, they haven't signed up yet, but they're going to be going as well. So, we'll see. I don't know. I don't for me personally, I mean, the people that are going to be there, I'm always really happy that you're there, right? Because I get to train, like I get to work out with you. I get to share this art with you and train with you and all that. So I'm whatever the group ends up being is the group that is supposed to be there. That makes sense? So I don't care if there's like me and you, right? Or like just the people that are signed up right now. If there's 30 people, if there's 10 people, if there was just 2 people, if I got there and it was just me, then I would train for the 3 days, you know, um, because the people that are there are the people that are there, and they're not losing out on anything, they're there and they're the people that are supposed to be there. So, if you want to come out to it, get signed up, and I'm happy to see you there, and I'm happy to share this art with you, at least my understanding of it. And I'm happy to train with you and move around and get to know you better and all that stuff. So, like I said, I don't know when I'm going to get back to the West Coast. I'm not on the West Coast too often, so I get a lot of people that are like, like I said, always commenting on these comments in my YouTube videos, and I get emails from people all over the West Coast, California, Oregon, and Washington, and even like Nevada and all that area. When you coming to the West Coast, man? And well, it's happening now. So the people that miss it, either they weren't paying attention, something better came along. I don't know, but you miss it, you miss it, right? I mean, nothing I can do for that. I can only do what I can do. So, but right now, it's we're gonna have a good group right now. We got a great group of people coming out right now already. So, Mark, I'm glad you're a part of the channel too, bro. Do you also train? Oh yeah, train. Oh, wait. Do you also train at the gathering staff against stick or variables at ITC? So ITC is an interesting thing because we have our set training, right? Like we train for 5 days. We have day 0 where we usually hike. Sometimes we train on day 0. Sometimes we just end up hiking on day 0. But sometimes there's other training that happens after training. Like this last one, we did night training. Not everybody did it, but it was like after dinner. It was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and we all hiked up the road, over by the mountains, and we we trained at night, and it was, the moon was setting, and it was like pitch black out there. And but the people that did it, man, they were like, holy crap, dude, this was an amazing experience. And the way that the sensories of the body, right, like beside your eyes, your eyes can pick up like just real little bit of stuff, but then like the sensories of your body, what it can pick up and stuff, and then like how you can you can start to hear the distance and range, and you can almost hear timing, and then you got to kind of learn to be sneaky, and it's a whole different game when you're training it like in pitch black like that. And your eyes are open, so you're trying to see stuff, but you can't really see stuff. And it's a whole different experience. So, and then sometimes, sometimes people decide to experiment. We've had, like Tom and I mean, some of the ITCs after training, and after dinner, and, we're getting fires ready and all that stuff. Tom and I are just like, hey man, let's fight for 10 minutes. We're nothing friendly, dude. We're not going to, this ain't sparring. This ain't training. We're going to fucking fight for 10 minutes. Tom, like sometimes we've done that, and so, I mean, it's just, I mean, ITC is a different animal, but it's, we got the training, and it is intense training. We train on average like 10 to 12 hours a day for 5 days. People will track their calorie burn and their sleep, and ITC is a different animal. So Washington is not ITC, but at ITC, because you asked, I think it was Steve that asked, right? Steven, you cannot, you are burning way more calories every day than you can get in your body. So you will be calorie deficient, you will be sleep deprived, and you will be dehydrated. Even though you drank 2 gallons of water plus a Gatorade or Body Armor, Pedialytes, and all that, like, you're gonna be dehydrated. And that's just the way ITC is. You're outside in the elements. It's all day, hot, sun, rain, hail, doesn't matter. We got held on this last ITC. The ITC a few years ago, I think it was 2020, we were training in a hailstorm. It was literally an ice bath for 3.5 hours, and we were way out. We hiked out into the mountains, and we were training out there. So you're not going back, right? Like, you're out there. And we had no idea how long the storm was going to last. And we trained because that's all we could do to stay warm, you know? And so, I mean, ITC is just a different animal. That is not how Washington's going to be, okay? Washington's going to be much more tame than that, but because you asked. But in the training, in the curriculum, yes, we do go through the different variables. We call that the unequal of weapons, or the uneven of weaponry, where we'll do single stick versus double stick, you know, knife versus double knife. We'll do a spot yadaga versus double stick, or staff versus double stick, or spear versus 2 sticks, or spear versus knife or 1 stick, and you throw the shield in there and all that stuff. So yeah, it's all in there. It has to be, right? It has to be. So, alrighty, I've been on here for 30 minutes, and I want to do some more of my flow rope and kind of do my training and stuff. But thanks so much for joining me on here. A few of us here while I'm live, and you know, all that good stuff. And I really hope to see you, whoever's going to be attending. I'm looking forward to it. September 26th through the 28th, Long Beach, Washington. I have all the information up at colliecenter.com/events. Registration is open. It's $325 for the 3 days. I am not doing a divide of, you know, 1 or 2 days. It's all 3 days. Okay, it's a training camp. So I look forward to meeting you guys that have already signed up. Really looking forward to that and training with you, and anybody else that signs up. I look forward to meeting you and training with you. All right. And if you have any questions regarding it, if you have any questions or concerns, you can always email me at paul@colliecenter.com, or just go to the website and go to the contact page, the email me page, and just send me an email there. It goes right to that same email address. All right. All righty. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys in a few weeks.